Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Nur Akila bin Muhammad Salahuddin and my metric number is L2480572. And today I will be presenting my analysis for assignment 3 of negotiation communication. The situation given is about a buyer who purchased a pair of shoes on sale. The receipt clearly stated that the shoes were non-returnable. However, after wearing the shoes at home, the buyer felt uncomfortable and returned to the store asking for a refund. When the clerk refused, the buyer became angry and shouted loudly until the store manager finally agreed to return the money. So, in this presentation, I will analyze the ethical standards used in this negotiation situation based on end result ethics, duty ethics, social contract ethics, and personality ethics. Lastly, I will share my opinion on which approach is the best and whether I would behave similarly in real life. First, I will discuss end result ethics. End result ethics focuses on the final outcome of a negotiation. In other words, an action is considered acceptable if it achieves the desired results. In this situation, the buyer successfully received a refund after creating pressure by shouting in front of other customers. From the buyer's perspective, the negotiation was successful because the goal was achieved. However, there are both positive and negative outcomes. The positive outcome is that the buyer got the money back and avoided wasting money on uncomfortable shoes. But there are also negative effects. The employees may feel embarrassed and stressed. Other customers in the store may also feel uncomfortable watching the argument. In addition, the store's image and reputation could be affected negatively. Therefore, even though the buyer achieved the desired result, the aggressive tactic may still be considered unethical because it causes discomfort and pressure to others. Next is duty ethics. Duty ethics focuses on responsibilities, moral obligations, and following rules regardless of the outcome. In this case, the receipt clearly stated that the shoes were non-returnable. This means the buyer already agreed to the store policy during the purchase. As a customer, the buyer has the responsibility to respect the rules set by the store. At the same time, the employees also have a duty to follow company policy professionally. From the perspective of duty ethics, the buyer's behavior was unethical because shouting and creating a public scene is disrespectful and inappropriate. Even though the manager finally gave the refund, the negotiation process did not follow proper ethical responsibilities and professionalism. Now, I will discuss social contract ethics. Social contract ethics focuses on acceptable behavior and fairness within society. In society, people generally expect negotiations to be handled respectfully and calmly. Customers are expected to communicate politely, while businesses are expected to provide good customer service. In this situation, the buyer violated social expectations by shouting aggressively in public. This behavior disturbs the environment in the store and created tension among employees and customers. The manager may have agreed to the refund, not because the request was fair, but simply to stop the disturbance. Therefore, according to social contract ethics, the buyer's negotiation tactic is considered inappropriate because it disrupted social harmony and respectful communication. The first ethical standard is personality ethics. Personality ethics focuses on personal values, conscience, and integrity. It asks whether a person feels morally comfortable with their own actions. In this situation, the buyer may feel justified because the shoes were uncomfortable. However, using anger and public embarrassment to pressure employees may lead to guilt or regret afterwards. A person who values personal ethics will most likely communicate calmly and professionally. Instead of shouting, the buyer could explain the problem politely and ask for other possible solutions, such as exchanging the shoes, receiving store credit, or discussing the issue respectfully with the manager. This approach shows empathy, emotional control, and professionalism during negotiation. From my perspective, the best approach is personalistic ethics. I believe negotiation should not only focus on achieving goals, but also on maintaining respect, professionalism, and good relationships. Personalistic ethics encourage honesty, self-control, and respectful communication. These qualities are very important in business communication and professional negotiation. If I were the buyer, I would explain the situation, calmly and politely discuss possible solutions with the store manager. I would try to create a win-win situation instead of using pressure or intimidation. Personally, I would not behave aggressively in a real-life situation. As a business communication student, I believe communication skills and emotional control are important during negotiation. Shouting may produce short-term success, but it can damage relationships, professionalism, and personal reputation. I believe respectful communication is more effective because it encourages cooperation and creates positive outcomes for both parties. A good negotiator should know how to persuade others through proper communication rather than anger or public pressure. In conclusion, this situation shows how negotiation tactics can involve ethical issues. Although the buyer successfully received a refund, the aggressive strategy created negative effects on employees, customers, and the store environment. So, based on the 4 ethical standards, end result ethics focuses on the successful outcome. Duty ethics focuses on rules and responsibilities. Social contract ethics focuses on social behavior and fairness, while personalistic ethics focuses on integrity and respectful communication. So, overall, I believe personalistic ethics is the best approach because ethical and respectful communication is essential in professional negotiation. That is all from me. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.